Welcome everyone. I am Dr. Michael DePalma, and I am the director of the Master of Biomedical Science program. So we're very happy that you took some time to join us today to learn a little bit about our program. We have some things to cover today, so if you can all see my slides, I will go through and talk about the program a little bit and hopefully answer some questions as we're going through, but we will certainly have plenty of time at the end for you to ask as many questions as you'd like. You can also feel free to put questions in the chat box. Sarah Amini-Rod is our program manager for the Masters of Biomedical Science program, and she will be monitoring the chat box for any questions. So welcome to everyone, and we'll get started here. So as I mentioned, I'm Dr. DePalma. I've been a PA for over 20 years. I've been in PA education for over 6 years, and then transitioned to develop this program to help students get better prepared for PA school. With us also, we have Dr. Michelle DeBase, who's the department chair and program director for the ASHS, the Arizona School of Health Sciences PA program in Arizona. Welcome. So a little bit about AT-Still University. There are 3 different campuses in Arizona, Missouri, and California. So it's a nationwide school, really with over 100 different locations around the country of distance sites and education. They offer a multitude of health professions, and this is kind of why we like to really focus on the mission, which is the next slide. That talks about what the mission of AT-Still is, of all those schools and universities I talked about, or programs, colleges within the university. We're focused on developing highly competent professionals. AT-Still focuses on whole person healthcare, really with an underserved population mentality. So thinking about those things that are highlighted as we get through and talk about our program, you'll kind of understand how our mission of the Masters of Biomedical Science ties into that program. So a little bit about the program. It's a 9-month asynchronous, completely online program. It is a total of 45 credit hours. So that's a lot in a 9-month period, but we'll explain the intent behind that design. And really what we are striving to accomplish is to get students who are better prepared to be able to apply to PA school, but not only once they get into PA school, we want them to succeed once they're into PA school. So a little bit about PA education. If you've done your research and started looking into PA schools, you know there's currently 303 programs. It's still projected to increase. That number keeps kind of going up and down a little bit by this year. But they're still projected to add a lot of PA programs. What does this mean for the students? Competition for slots. It's a very highly competitive program. It's always rated in the top 5 nationally of healthcare jobs and jobs in general. So we're still a growing profession, which is hopefully what's interesting you in becoming a PA. The real question on this slide is the most complete recent cycle is the 2021 cycle, where they had over 30,000 applicants. 11,000, just over 11,000 got accepted to PA schools. So what happens to that other 19,000, 20,000 students who didn't get in? That's the competition that you're facing with trying to get into PA school at this point. So as you can see, that number over the years has continued to grow, even though PA programs are continuing to increase from year to year, the number of programs, so are applications from year to year continue to increase, and so are our applicants who are actually matriculating. So this is kind of why we thought a program like this was perfect for helping students become prepared and better prepared for PA school and ways to improve their applications. So some data that comes from the Physician Assistant Education Association that talks about PA school applicants, and if you fall into one of these, just know that you're not alone. PA students are applying on average 2.2 years, meaning that they're not getting in the first time around. Almost a third of them have applied to PA programs in the past and not gotten in. The number of programs applied to, the number of interviews they've gotten. So, you know, I should throw this slide up here to show that it is very difficult to even get the interview. Don't get frustrated if you've kind of applied and not been offered an interview, because there is a lot of competition out there. What we're trying to do is improve that your competitiveness as an applicant. The other aspect that I talked about was your performance once you get into PA school. So graduation rate across the country is around 93%. That means 7% of the students are not graduating for a number of different reasons. And what we want to do is try and help to make sure that we improve that reasoning for academic dismissal or deceleration, meaning you have to take a year off or a couple months off and come back and join the next class. That costs you a lot of money to have to do that. And if the reasoning behind that is for academic purposes, then this program can help better prepare you to limit that or reduce that likelihood. So one of the big questions is, how can I be a more competitive applicant? And this is a general question, not necessarily to our program. The first part of the slide talks about how our program can definitely help with that. But the other aspects I like to throw in there, just because if you're seeking to get into PA school, that's your goal. Our goal is to help us reach your goal. So as much information as we can help provide, we want to focus on those areas of weaknesses. If you've been through interviews or had your application not be successful at getting into PA school, where are some areas that you can improve? GPAs kind of always the big and first and foremost. Both science and overall GPA gets evaluated, gets scrutinized at by the admissions committees. And what they want to see is a demonstration of sustained academic success. What that means is you didn't just take one class and repeat it at a community college over the summer. You took a number of classes, and it shows that you can succeed by handling multiple classes in a condensed period of time, which is what you'll face as a PA student. We have a couple classes or courses in our program that help with this. Our medical writing course helps you work on your personal statement. Our capstone courses help prepare you for interviews. And those are kind of areas that can help in general that our program can demonstrate. Additional areas outside of our program that you want to focus on as an applicant is healthcare experience. That's certainly, some programs have a minimum number of hours, but some programs look for quality hours. It's not so much how many hours you've had, it's the type of healthcare experience that you've had. Some programs are mission oriented. So I really encourage you, as I mentioned, our program, our PA program and AT still in general focuses on underserved populations. So when you research your PA programs to apply to, be sure to look at them and see what their mission is, and does it align with your mission? Research is a very heavy component. We don't cover research in the Master's of Biomedical Science program because it's just too condensed and too short of a period of time to get into research. But there are other programs out there, or as undergrads, you may have done research, and that's something that can highlight an application if you've done research. Getting back to mission-oriented to service activities, going on mission trips, things like that really can complement your application. And finally, ask if you've been to an interview or you've had your application rejected by a PA school, ask what you can do to improve. Most admissions committees will be quite honest with you and tell you point blank it was your GPA, or just in general, you need to improve certain aspects to balance yourself, that whole person healthcare that was underlined on the mission. Applicants aren't just looked at GPA. We don't just take all students with the highest GPA. We look at students who meet the mission and who are balanced. Asking for feedback is a very important way to get some good quality information about your application. Okay, so more about the Master's of Biomedical Science program is, we're focused on getting students into PA school. So for that reason, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but our curriculum has been designed with PA curriculum intent and focus. So we're not really looking to prepare students for other healthcare professions. We want to enhance that undergraduate science coursework, really the advanced sciences. Our pace is very rigorous. I'll show you the calendar here in a couple slides, and you can see that it's very challenging, but this is something that PA programs would look to say, yes, if you can get through this program, you can certainly handle the curriculum of a PA program. And one of the highlights and the benefits is this is online and asynchronous program. What that means is, yes, we have deadlines, and yes, there are assignments and quizzes and everything else due at certain times, but usually courses are assigned out at a week at a time. So you can really work on your time management skills, which is a big area where students tend to struggle. PA students tend to struggle, is how to balance the time and focus. So this program can really help you work on those time management skills. So our curriculum focuses on a lot of upper level science courses. So we take what you've had in undergraduate coursework, we build on that. Maybe some courses that you haven't had, such as pharmacology or immunology, are very beneficial to PA students because that's a large portion of the curriculum. And then we also focus on some social science courses. Medical writing, I talked about. Medical ethics is extremely important. Social behavioral determinants of health. Those are all areas that are extremely important as practicing providers, because they kind of dictate the type of patients and the population that we see, and areas that we struggle with on a day-to-day basis with our decision making. Being able to have exposure to that prior to getting into PA school means that you'll have better understanding as you're learning the medicine in PA school to be able to reflect back on that, well, rather than trying to learn that at the same time you're learning the medicine. So I think those are extremely helpful. We have 3 course capstone series, and what that does is focuses on team-based care, researching and understanding all members of the healthcare team, focusing really on what it takes and what it is to be a PA in areas that gives you that research that would really help to prepare you for the interview, to have an understanding of what PAs are. So our calendar, AT still operates in 10-week blocks, and the next cohort starts on July 15th, runs to September, and then you get a week off in between Fall Block 1 and Fall Block 2, another 10-week block, and then a few weeks off over the holiday in December, and then another 10-week block followed by the Spring Block 2, which is only a 6-week block, and I'll show you that in a second. We do have graduation scheduled for June 6th, 2025. It is in Mesa, Arizona in person, and anybody that attends the program, we highly encourage you to come out to walk in graduation and receive your hoods. This is the course schedule. It is a little bit small in the slide, but you can find this also on our website. And really what I tried to focus on is that compressed, condensed schedule in Fall Block 1 and Fall Block 2. You're taking 15 credits in Fall Block 1 in 10 weeks and 15 credits in Fall Block 2, which is another 10 weeks. You're down to 11 credits in Spring Block 1. That's not much easier, but 6 credits or 6 classes and 15 credits is really condensed and a lot of work. But again, that's to help demonstrate that you are learning and developing these important time management skills, that you can handle the volume of work and different courses going on at the same time. Rarely in PA school do you take one class at one time. You are taking multiple classes or learning multiple concepts that overlap and are important, but you have to learn how to balance your time so that you get the important lessons from each one of the courses. So those Fall Block 1, Fall Block 2, you're finishing 30 credits in essentially the first semester in 20 weeks. And why that's important is because in December, when you get through that Fall Block 1, if you're starting to apply to PA schools or getting your CASPA application ready for spring, you would be able to have to demonstrate to PA programs that you have completed a very vigorous aspect or component of the program in a short period of time. Again, that sustained academic ability, I can't stress that enough, because that's what admissions committees want to see. Yes, you can get an A in a 4-credit class, but can you get an A or do well with 4 or 5 different classes going on at the same time? The course load, as I mentioned, and the curriculum, as a PA, I designed and I hired PA faculty to help design this program with PA school in mind, topics and areas that students often struggle in. So you noticed physiology had 3 different courses. We focus a lot on physiology. It's an extremely important aspect of PA school. Having a good comprehension of physiology, of pharmacology, of microbiology before you get into PA school will really help put you at an edge for being able to not have to relearn the stuff in PA school, but just build on what you've learned and focus on the medical component. Our faculty, it's not all just PAs. I'm very proud of the faculty that we have representing the program. We have a mix of PAs and experts in their respective fields, which ensures that you have a balanced curriculum to help prepare you for PA school. So we have a number of PhDs and education doctorate trained that are teaching in some of the courses that are their subject experts. So physiology is taught by a physiologist. Biochemistry is taught by a biochemist. Then we get into some of our other programs that have subject matter experts as PAs, because that's the areas that they're practicing in. So some of our PA faculty are working in academics, and some are still in clinical practice. We have a PA who is also a pharmacist who teaches pharmacology. We have a PA who has a master's of jurisprudence in health law, teaching medical ethics. So we really tried to refine to give you the best experience going through the program that's going to best prepare you for PA school. So who should apply? You know, we talk about gap year a lot in education, and what does gap year means? Typically means that you're taking a year off. We consider this, if you're applying to a PA school after undergraduate, or you've been out of PA school or out of undergraduate for a period of time, and you're looking to get back in and refresh some of those undergraduate prerequisite requirements. This is a perfect bridge program. So it bridges you from your undergrad, or helps to fill in any gaps that you may have to strengthen your undergraduate coursework, anything that's been weaker or it's been some time since you've had. If you're coming right out of undergraduate, sometimes adding that extra year of maturity by being able to stay home and take this course online, or this program online, can help better prepare you for entering PA school. And then we really just have a small number of prerequisites that we require for our program. So we're really looking to get students in. Anatomy is very challenging for PA students because it's expected that you learn this at the undergraduate level. So if you're wondering why only 3 credits of anatomy, that has to be of sole anatomy. So if you've taken anatomy and physiology, you actually have to have 6 credits. So you have to have, because that's split up into 2 courses, you have to have A&P1 and A&P2. English composition, 2 classes in English composition, any type of writing, formalized writing, because we do a lot of writing as practitioners. It has to be accurate. This is a situation where spelling counts, grammar counts, because it can lead to medical errors, which can lead to bad patient outcomes if we're not really attentive to those type of things. We do a lot of writing in this program, and that's by design. The prerequisite GPA of 2.5. Last year, we had set this at 2.75. We lowered it to 2.5 to give students a better opportunity. What we found from the first cohort is students that had a GPA that was a little bit on the lower side are doing very well with the focus of the curriculum that we have. The 2.75 GPA means that depending on how many undergraduate credits and science credits that you've had, you would need roughly a 3.6 GPA in the Master's of Biomedical Science program to get up to that minimum 3.0 GPA, which a lot of PA programs have as their minimum. So getting through our program, graduating from our program with a 3.6 can help improve that if you're around the 2.75. If you're lower and have a 2.5, you may not get up to the 3.0, but there are a lot of PA programs out there that don't have a minimum, or will evaluate you based on what you've done recently. So that's why, if you're looking at PA programs, really expand your searches out to those programs if you have the lower GPA that can help. Because that, getting back to that first bullet, students who need to improve their overall GPA and science GPA will benefit from this program. It may not get you up to the 3.0, but it may do enough for some of these other programs that don't have the minimums or have lower than 3.0 minimums to look at you and say, yes, you're capable of doing this because you demonstrated that. I really feel like the deeper understanding of upper level science is extremely important too, because I'm going to use microbiology, not just because I teach it and it's my passion, but you've had general microbiology in undergraduate. When you get to PA school, you start really focusing on medical microbiology. And a lot of students it's either been so long since they've had it, or just don't quite grasp the medical focus of it because they're still thinking in general broad terms, that the micro infectious disease course that we have in our program is very medical microbiology focused. So we really focus on the human body, And I think a course like that really helps to give you a deeper appreciation of micro and to help prepare you. So I mentioned at the beginning about the mission and why should I consider the ASHS Master's of Biomedical Science program. As I mentioned, we are the only program at this point that's focused on PA education. There are a number of other programs out there that focus on general undergraduate or graduate healthcare that you may want to consider, and I encourage you to look at them to see, do they evaluate or align with your own mission? What's your mission? Does our program align with your mission? Does our program align with your mission to move on to PA school? So that, that's kind of the big reason of why you should come to our program, is because it aligns with you. I always tell students, when you're interviewing PA programs or interviewing with a PA program, you're interviewing them as well as them interviewing you. Don't just automatically go to PA school just because you got accepted. If you are in the interview and you say, well, this doesn't really fit with what I want to do, chances are you're setting yourself up for some academic struggle with the program. If you don't like the way that the programs are being taught, or they're taught in a different manner that you feel like you're not going to understand, you're going to struggle a little bit more. And I would encourage you to kind of evaluate the programs and make them align with your mission. So you should interview the PA programs as much as they're interviewing you. A quick comment about the guaranteed interview. With the ASHS, it's only at this time being offered to the ASHS program and PA program in Arizona. You must have a minimum overall GPA of 3.5 in the program, and you must still meet all the prerequisite requirements of the program, which means if they require a C in general chemistry, we don't offer general chemistry in our program. And if you've gotten a C- in it, it would not meet that minimum prerequisite requirements. You still have to meet all of those prerequisite requirements of the ASHS program. And the interview is only awarded upon completion of the program, which means you may be selected by the program for an interview while you're a member or in course and taking classes. But that guaranteed interview is only offered once you've completed the Master's of Biomedical Science program. So if the next class starts in July of 2025, that would be completed in May of 2026. Financial aid, I don't like to talk about financial aid other than the fact that financial aid is available. It's a very highly specialized and very individualized aspect of education, and AT still is a great university for offering one-on-one counseling. So here's some contact information for you to reach out to them if you're worried about it. I encourage you to all reach out and have a one-on-one meeting, and they can talk about what aid is available for you. So quick disclaimer as we finish up is, I mentioned the Master's of Biomedical Science program is only focused or has been designed for getting you into PA students or PA school. Its curriculum is taught by PAs, and it does not mean it cannot be used for other purposes, but we can't guarantee that other programs would accept that. And I say this because there is a Master's of Biomedical Science program at AT University to get into the osteopathic medical school or the dental school. It's a 2-year residential or in-person program that's in Missouri, which is very different than what we do. They're very heavily based on research, where we're not. So if you're thinking of medical school or dental school, this program would not necessarily meet those prerequisite requirements to get you into that, as well as other healthcare disciplines. So I just like to focus that so everybody kind of gets a good understanding with that. And then, as I just mentioned too, that interview guarantee is for Masters of Biomedical Science graduates. So you have to complete the program to be offered that guaranteed interview or that guaranteed seat. Okay, so as I mentioned, our goal is to help you reach your goal. We want to see you with that white coat. So we really want to do everything that we can to help get you into PA school. If you've tried and been unsuccessful, if you have not tried yet and you're concerned about your prerequisites, these are the kind of things that our program can help you with. So here's some contact information for you. There's my email address, Sarah's as the program manager, our general program address. And then with online admissions in general, there's an email that you can contact them. I will come back to that slide if you're still writing those down, because we're kind of at the end, and I'll be certainly happy to take any questions. If anybody's brave enough to unmute, you are certainly welcome. If you would rather put your questions in the chat, please feel free to do so.
Dr. DePalma, we have one question in the chat. It asks, is the guaranteed interview only for the Arizona location?
At this time, yes, it's only for the Arizona location. Good question.
Hello, my name's Nicole. I just had a couple questions. So my first
Sure.
question, because of the rigorous nature of the program, is it recommended that we work full-time, or is it kind of like frowned upon?
Yeah, great question. And thanks, Nicole, for coming in and asking that question. We have in our first cohort a number of students who are working full-time. And I don't want to say we're discouraging students from doing that because, you know, school's expensive and you need to do what you need to do. Plus you're getting those hopefully healthcare experience hours that are going to look good on an application. I think to answer that question, I have to put it back on you and said it depends what kind of student that you are. Okay. We're trying to teach time management. So if you can budget working with the course load that you have, particularly in those first two classes, I think you'll find some weeks are a little busier than others. I'm still old school. I'd still like to have a paper calendar on the wall and write out all my due dates with things due. And I think, you know, that's a great tip for students, whether it's digitally or in paper, to really lay out to see, can I do this? Can this work with the assignments? And I think, you know, yes, students are working. You can do this, but understand what your end goal is. If you're struggling in the course, is it going to help you at the end of the day to get into PA school?
Yeah. Okay.
And we certainly want to help you with that. So if you're struggling early, you know, reach out with your faculty, your instructors, and we'll see what we can do about helping to balance things. But with having 5 and 6 classes going on at the same time in those first two blocks, it can get a little bit heavy. Okay.
Okay. And then my last question. So looking at like the sample course schedule, do we pick from like a list of courses, or is it kind of just like the set classes?
Yeah, at this point, it's a set curriculum. So we've designed it based on not having electives. It's all, every student takes the same course. So you're with your same students going through the cohort and taking the same classes, but these are all very heavy prerequisite requirements that we have seen through PA education, where students have struggled the most. Okay,
because I have taken an upper division immunology course, so I don't know, is it okay to retake the class, or is that
yeah, I mean, we don't have any kind of opt-out classes or you know, taking it, because everything has to be taken. It's more of a stepwise procedure. It may be redundant, some of the things you've had. Again, I teach immunology, so I'm going to say it's focused more on medical aspect of the human immunology, or it's more we introduce disease and how the immune system interacts with diseases and how certain diseases can cause dysfunction of the immune system. So it may be a little bit more in depth with human immunology or human interaction of the immune system than you might have had in the other class.
Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.
If nothing else, it's an easy A for you.
Okay.
Hello,
Good,
my
thanks
name
for
is
asking.
Pedram. I also had a question.
Sure, please.
My question is, if we apply, I believe the deadline is in June, right, for the application?
Correct.
I see. If we apply before June, we'll be able to start this year, correct?
Correct. You'll be able to start in July of, we'll be accepting applications right up until June.
Right before the classes start.
Yeah, which we understand you'll be applying to PA schools now. So sometimes you're kind of waiting to hear if you're waitlisted. We know that there'll be some last minute decisions. So
right. So I apply. So I'm currently an PA applicant, and I've applied, but unfortunately I haven't gotten any interviews. I did get to the step 2A with ATSU, the California campus, but I still haven't heard back anything. So the new cycle basically starts in April. So we have to reapply in April of this year. So do I need to apply this year, or I don't apply this year and do this program starting in July and then apply next April when the other cycle opens, next cycle opens?
So if you're applying in April, depending on which programs that you're applying to, you could potentially apply this in this cycle, because you'd be interviewing during this program that was going on. If you started this program in July, when we finish in May, you could still have an opportunity to attend a PA school right after this program would finish. So anything that starts middle of May or after, and there are 70, 75 schools that offer admission starting in the middle of May through like the end of the summer, all the way up through the end of the year. I mean, some that offer September, October, November. So,
Yes,
you know, that's a situation. And again, I kind of put that back on what are your goals if you want to take an extra year and get through the program and then reapply with a whole clean slate. You know, that's certainly an option versus applying now and saying, okay, I'm doing this program. If I complete this program, can I get a seat in your program? It's a lot of different ways to market yourself as a student there.
Got it. Yeah, and another thing, I know this was already asked by the previous lady. In terms of working, I'm working as a medical assistant right now, trying to get my hours up. Currently, I have 3,000, almost 4,000, but I want to keep working for the purpose of gaining hours at the same time covering my financial needs. Will I still be able to? Is it possible to work full time and handle these classes at the same time?
Yeah, again, that goes based on how prepared you are or how good of a student you are. I'm just going to kind of put it back out there to say, do you have those time management skills? That's the benefit of the asynchronous, because if you work daylight hours, you can do most of this work in the evenings and on the weekends and ensure that you stay caught up. You know, if you're working 16-hour days, I'm going to be honest and say that's a little bit of a struggle to do that. But you know, we try to balance what the intent of our program is with saying, yes, you can work, but understand what your end of the day goal is.
What you're signing up for, basically.
Yeah. And, you know, it all depends on how you feel with your academic ability going into this. If you feel pretty confident and can balance things,
Yes, sir.
you know, I don't want to tell people they can't work or they can't work, because I think that is really an individualized question.
Understood. And one last question. I figured that the chat is being recorded since the beginning. Will we be able to access this recording?
Yes. At the
amazing.
completion, once it saves, Sarah will send out a copy of the recording to you.
To the email that we signed up for the tickets, correct?
Correct.
Understood. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. And again, any other questions, please feel free to reach out. After this is over, if you think of anything else, you're always welcome to reach out.
Dr. De Palma, we have several questions in the chat. Can you clarify for students if you can apply to this program part-time?
Good question, and unfortunately, no. This goes back to the intent of our program, and it is, if you're taking this program part-time, doesn't quite have the same emphasis as demonstrating to admissions committees that you're capable of handling that heavy course load. So if you're only taking a few classes at a time, it doesn't do the same thing. So our intent was to try and compress as much of the curriculum to demonstrate that sustained academic ability in such a short time as 9 months, so that you're not dragging it out and taking 2 or 3 years to do this and then have to go to PA school for another 2 to 3 years. Does that answer your question?
I assume so. So the next question is sort of a financial aid question. What is the cost of the program?
Yeah, all that information is kind of regulated by the university and on the website. So I don't know if Sarah, you want to put the website in the chat and they can find the financial aids section. They've kind of asked us not to discuss any financial aid or cost related questions, because that's something that the university wants to be able to counsel you as effectively as they can on. So
correct. Okay, so the next question is, how are exams designed in this program? Weekly assignments, quizzes, etc. designed?
It depends on the course that you're taking. There are a lot, as I mentioned, a lot of writing assignments. A lot of courses have weekly discussion posts. There are some written assignments in some classes. There's some kind of not research in the sense that you're conducting your own research, but you're evaluating the research and literature that's out there. There are quizzes. A lot of the science courses have weekly quizzes or quizzes a few times a semester, and they can range anywhere from 10 to 15 questions all the way up to 100 questions, depending on the type of assessment that it is. Grades are based on timeliness. We do try and provide grading rubrics so that you have a very clear understanding of what the assignment expectation is. Plus, it also provides some uniformity with grading. Timeliness of assignments is very important, of being able to get things in on time. That goes towards professionalism, quality of the research that's being conducted, as well as writing style. We use AMA style formatting in our program, which is the American Medical Association. So we follow their format. So if you're used to APA or MLA, you have to kind of get used to a new style in our program. And even though it's not a formalized writing program, we do try and prepare you for the next level of writing. So we are kind of a little more in depth when it comes to evaluating your AMA style. So you'll be doing discussion post and responses to classmates on a number of different, some are case-based, some are finding and evaluating the literature, as I mentioned. Some of the assignments are anything from research the profession to interviewing clinically practicing PAs and writing something up about them. We even do some courses that have you record part of your assignments and upload it for others to review and evaluate. So we try and really bring as much interpersonal activity as we can into the program. With being asynchronous, we try and respect your time and not have required live meetings, but almost all of the faculty offer at least weekly office hours. And some of the classes even offer some live group sessions that are completely voluntary based on your workload. So those are also areas with an online and asynchronous program that we try and keep you as engaged as possible.
Thank you. The next question is there a limited amount of seats in this program?
Good question. And I'll kind of give you the easy answer, and that's no. If you're qualified, we want to help you try and get into PA school. We're trying to limit each section to 25 students. It's going to be right around there. If we get 26 or 27, we might cap that at one section. But if we get more than that, then we add another section. Our first cohort, we started with 38 students, so we started with 2 sections. So the intent is, if you're willing and able to come to our program, we will try and make a seat for you if you qualify, and get you through our program as best we can.
The next question is, what is the success rate of this program?
We're in our first cohort right now, so see me in a couple of months and I can give you that. What I can tell you is all of our students that started in July are still with us. That means they've all gotten at least a C. Most of them have done very quality work in A's and B's. And I think that goes towards the commitment that our students are making. So they get a lot of the credit for that. Plus the design of the program and trying to do what we can to get students to succeed. So very happy with where we are right now. 3 students that started with us that dropped out. I will honestly say 2 of them decided they didn't want to be PAs. So it was kind of a good time to learn that in our program rather than go to PA school and incur high costs and figure that out. And 1 student actually got into PA school while they were in our program. So I think, that's our goal and our intent, and we were very happy that all the students kind of worked out professionally for their best decision.
Does this program GPA affect my overall and science GPA?
Yes, I mean, all of your coursework that you've taken has to be uploaded and included on your CASPA application. So this will be factored in. This won't be taken as your only coursework, but it will be calculated along with all of your undergraduate or post-baccalaureate coursework that you have taken to this point. It will factor in with the calculations, and CASPA has a GPA calculator spreadsheet that you can enter all your coursework and kind of do some projections and figure out where you would end up with our credits. That's why with 45 credits, it really helps those GPAs. 28 of them, I think, are in sciences. So you can use those 28 to help balance or figure out where you would end up if you did well in those courses and kind of projection of where your GPA would be. And I encourage students to do that to see where they would end up.
This is a clarifying question. Will all the lectures for the classes be recorded? And are there any live sessions available for students who have difficulty understanding the concepts?
Yeah, so as far as live, I'll answer that one first by saying if you are having difficulty, that's where you would want to reach out. Some faculty have set office hours, like once a week, they'll set an hour, but almost all of them say by appointment. So if you're struggling, reach out. I'm always happy to meet with students, at least as long as it's not 3 in the morning. I'm on the East Coast, so I think we can work something out sometime. But I think there's kind of 2 questions there. If you're struggling, yes, reach out. We'll be happy to meet with you via Zoom and have a discussion. As far as recording, because it is asynchronous, a lot of lectures are, if there are accompanying lectures, they are recorded videos that are uploaded. We use Canvas in our program, if anybody's familiar with Canvas learning management system. And what we do is we have those as part of the weekly assignment. Review this lecture. Most of the courses have reading assignments. If they don't have lectures, there are usually a number of different, whether it's textbook, whether it's journal articles that are associated, and then you're writing or completing an assignment based on what you've read, and then you get feedback based on that. That does bring up another really good point with our program. All of our textbooks we've selected for our program are all available online, so you don't have to purchase additional supplemental textbooks for the program because they're available to all students with access through our library. So, sorry, did that answer your question about the live lectures?
Yes, it does.
Good.
At the moment, there's no other questions. Anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Sandy, it's good to see you.
Yes, hi there. Thank you all so much for your time. My name is Sandy Barrica, and I've been looking at this program for quite some time now. It's really great to see that the first cohort is going well. And one of my questions is if there are any current students that we're able to reach out to, just to ask them some questions about how their experience has been. I saw some videos online, but I wasn't sure if they were pertaining to the master's program. That's the 2-year that you mentioned earlier, Dr. DePalma. So I'm not sure if that's an appropriate thing to do to ask the current students, but just to get their input.
Thanks, Sandy. Thanks for joining us, and great question. And we have talked about a mentorship program with students, and I think that's a great concept to get into. What I really wanted to balance out, with complete respect for our students, is not overwhelming them when they were in this 30 credit period with having prospective students reach out to them. But I think as they start to progress through, that is certainly something that we can look for volunteers to ask. Is there anybody that would be willing to serve as a mentor? The program goes very, very quickly. So, it's great because it's a great recruiting tool for bringing students in. But I really want to make sure our students succeed that are in those videos. If they were on our Masters of Biomedical Science page, were specific. There are current students who agreed to do that when they actually had a week off in their downtime. They were gracious enough to record some of those videos and give us their thoughts on where they were with the program. As they've gotten further along, that was after the first block, so if they've gotten further along, their opinions may have changed a little bit. So hearing from them now might give you a better perspective of the program. And I really would like, I think one of the students does discuss working full-time and it being a little bit of a struggle, but he also has small kids. So I think, hearing that it is possible does give students a little bit of confidence. I just like to always go back to that. Just make sure you're keeping up and you're with those time management skills. So
absolutely.
That answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And I had one more
Sure.
for students who are hoping to apply afterwards. Would it make more sense to reach out to the current staff of the PA program at AT still to see if there are any prerequisites that are missing, or would it make sense to also reach out to one of you to see if there is anything that needs to be taken while, for example, being in the program, if I'm hoping to apply in a timely manner and get in the next cycle, hopefully, just to make sure there isn't anything missing. I realized I'm in ANP2 right now, and I realized the last time I took it was 9 years ago. So I thought I needed a refresher. So things like that, if there are any any courses that need to be retaken.
Sure. And with 303 programs, it's very difficult to know what all the prerequisites for all the schools are. So I do encourage students to reach out directly, through AT Still. You'll get through their admissions department. Since they have the supplemental application, they go through the initial screening, and then you have the supplemental application. I don't know if Dr. DeBase is still on, but I would say, an admissions advisor may help you with that. CASPA, when you're doing your application, should be able to, if you're applying to a school, should be able to indicate what their prerequisites are. And then, it always comes back to the student, and I encourage all students to know and be clear about what their prerequisites are. It's going to save you money if you click yes and then you don't meet that, just to understand. But because there's so many, some PA programs have 5-year limits on that anatomy. Some have 10 years. So at least taking anatomy in our program would help to refresh that right off the bat. But, that is a great point that you bring up, and something to keep an eye on.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you so
I would
much.
just basically reiterate what Dr. DePalma just said in regards to reach out to our admissions services. They are happy to make an appointment and go over your transcripts with you. For our PA program in Arizona, we don't require it within a certain period of time, but we highly recommend it be within 5 years. So yes, it will it'll give us a little bit of pause if all of your prerequisites were older. But again, reach out to our admissions counselors. They're very good at what they do, and they're happy to do a one-on-one with you.
Perfect. Thank you. And that's actually something that is so appreciated, because there have been some programs that really, unfortunately, they may not have the time or the ability to go through, have some feedback for students. But once you've been an applicant a few times, you just want to know, what can you work on? What can you improve? So that is something that is really appreciated as far as what AT Still is able to offer. And then I had one more question as far as once you're in the program and let's say you, I guess I think this was answered. You can't go back and retake one of the courses, for example, to finish it later. It's all at the same time with the same cohort through the whole curriculum.
Correct. At this point, we only start in July. So the courses that are offered that fall block 1 are only offered for that time period. So you'd have to wait the entire next year for that course to be offered again.
Sure. And once we apply to the program, how quickly would we know to hear back? As far as
It depends on a few things. It depends. The admissions counselors through the online admissions office are very good at reviewing things and letting you know if we're waiting for things like transcripts. So they receive all the information in the admissions office once all the information has been received and complete. So that includes your letter of recommendation, your transcripts, your personal statement. Once that's all received, then they forward it to us for screening. And usually we look at it in a day or two and let you know. If you fall below the GPA, sometimes we'll look for some more information, but we usually try and let students know within a week or two.
Perfect.
And you're always welcome to reach out to us and say, I've applied, haven't heard anything. Can you let me know where things are? Sometimes we're waiting for a transcript to be finalized or to get put into the application. And it's just a matter of, okay, that's all we were waiting for. Now we can move it along. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the questions.
I did just want to make one clarifying point about the requirements. So we only require one letter of recommendation, and we understand that you guys have likely already applied to PA school, and we will take your letter of recommendation to PA school. So you don't have to go out and get another recommendation. Okay, we have a few more
Great
questions.
point. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. Pooja, I see your question. I'm going to ask this other question really fast, and I'll go back to yours. What can you do with a master's degree in biomedical sciences if PA does not work out?
Yeah, great question. You know, as I mentioned, we're not research oriented, but a lot of biomedical science end up in research, but you can certainly end up in the pharma industry. So working with as medical science officers, or working with the pharmaceutical industry. You can work in medical research, you can work in general research. There are a lot of different options that are out there depending on the type of program or evidence. With a master's degree, you could certainly teach in a lot of different institutions. So there are a number of different possibilities and options beyond PA school. Honestly, we want everybody to get in. We realize some people may be looking at the program and not thinking about PA school, but we want to be able to offer what we can for our graduates, and we want to see you succeed in whatever field you want to get into. So.
Okay, and then this last question is, this program is offered online. So when a student applies to PA school, will they be judged on why the student took an online program instead of an in-person or hands-on cadaver for clinical anatomy class or micro?
It's going to be very dependent on the PA program that you're applying to. Some PA programs require cadaver dissection as part of their anatomy requirement. A lot of students, or a lot of PA programs, do not. It really, as far as it being an online program, I would hope they evaluate the curriculum and not just the fact that it's an online. Online is the delivery. It doesn't necessarily focus on the content of what we're doing. We don't offer labs as an aspect just because of the feasibility with being able to do labs remotely. Probably not in the best interest to send all these chemicals to everybody's houses and have them blow up their garage and trying to do a lab. But I think there are certain aspects of online learning that we have become accustomed to. I won't just say with COVID, but certainly in the last 5 to 7 years, a lot of coursework is being delivered and offered online. And I think, we are an accredited program by the Higher Learning Commission. And you don't just get accreditation, without having to go through some proof that you're producing evidence or producing a legitimate program. So, I think if you're applying to PA schools with that overview, they should be able to look at this and say, you've handled a large coursework or large amount of coursework. And how are they assessing other programs, or how are they assessing other coursework that's being done? So, that's a good question to ask the PA programs that you're reaching out to is, have you heard about this program, or would you, how would you evaluate or receive credits from this program?
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left. Does anybody else have any questions? You're free to unmute, turn on your camera, or type them in the chat and I can ask them for you.
I had one more question.
Sure.
When it comes to applying, we just go to the program's website and apply through there?
Yeah, there's
Or
a
is
link.
there a specific link for
Yeah, there's a
applying?
link to the apply here. I think it says apply on the upper right-hand corner of the website. You can request more information, or you can apply, and then you'll go through the application steps of
And
creating your
is there a fee
account.
for the application?
Yeah, a $70 application fee.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great bunch today. Thank you for some very great questions.
Oh, Angela, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I joined late. We had a little emergency in the clinic, so I'm not sure if you went over this already. But do you guys offer job placement resources after the program?
Since our goal of our program is to get you into PA school, we're kind of steering students in the direction of applying to PA school, not necessarily job placement. That would be more after you've gone through PA school.
Right, but do you have resources with the job placement after school?
That would be the PA program. That's a completely different program than what we have here. So that would be a question more for the PA program.
Okay.
If you're looking to not go to PA school and get placement afterwards, we have, again, I think to Dr. DePalma's point, since our focus is to try and get people into PA school, we haven't, because we're in our inaugural cohort, have not focused on job placement outside of trying to get people into PA school. But we could certainly talk to enrollment services as well. We do have a job board within ATSU, but I think the job prospects, as Dr. DePalma stated, would be out of our purview. If you were trying to be in the pharmaceutical industry or working in labs, it would be more geared towards working directly with them. Although we do have faculty in one of our other programs who are medical science officers. And so that could be something that we could look at moving forward if that's where somebody was interested in going, potentially. Just throwing this out there, a workshop for people to talk to people in other areas, such as the MSOs for the pharmaceutical industry. So that is something we could look into.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Dr. DePalma, Dr. DeBase, do you have any final thoughts? Good.
No, thank you everyone for great questions.
Yeah.
Great bunch today. So please feel free to reach out with any questions, and we look forward to seeing your applications coming through.
And as you guys know, this is recorded, and I will send you a copy of the recording so you can review this at any time. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.